Morning, everybody. Lovely to see you. I hope you're all safe from the weather. And for those who have any issues, sorry to hear about that. And if there's anything Potato NZ could do to help, let us know. What we're going to do today is we're going to look at the constitution changes, the key strategic achievements that we've achieved in the last little while, and the new business plan going forward for 25-26. So we'll kick off with the constitution changes to start with. So why? So we've had to do the constitution changes due to the Incorporated Societies Act changes. And what we've done to do those changes is reviewed our constitution in relation to the Act, met with our lawyers, and gone through and drafted, these are the changes that you could make, and then really had some good, robust discussions with the board and our lawyer on what changes will need to be made to make this more modern and in line with the new Act. So those really been the key things. So what we're doing at the moment is going around talking to our members, making sure everybody's comfortable with those changes and reviewing that, doing that final review. And then we will be doing a final lawyer sign off, hopefully at the end of next week. So big chunk of work, but I think it's been a really worthwhile process. So some of the key changes, and there is a document on our web site, if you haven't caught up with that, that lists out those key changes. So feel free to have a look at that, as well as the constitution, or the draft constitution is also on our website if you haven't managed to have a look at it. So one of the key some of the key changes have been our definitions, very limited in our prior rules. So we've really made those a little bit more robust. Our objects, so this is what we're about. We've made some minor changes to that, and that's really just to reflect our work and also align to our levy document. So that should be sort of more reflective of PNZ's work. Membership, we've been quite sort of clear on our membership. So this is one of the changes in the Act, and that's having an application form for any new members. Existing members don't need to fill out a form, but any new members, there's a process to onboard. Also being very distinct on the difference between a levy payer and a member. So being a levy payer is a legal requirement due to our levy order, but being a member, you can opt out of being a member, but you still remain a levy payer. So just being a bit clearer about how that works. We've also added a piece in to sort of be a bit clearer on fees, and that's really to accommodate our trade and associate members. And disputes is a new clause under the Act. We have to have a disputes procedure. So we have really followed the Act with that and added that in. The other changes have been for meetings. At the moment, the AGM is very restrictive. We have to give quite a significant amount of notice for an AGM or SGM. It's sort of like 70, 80 days out. And then also the motions have to be put forward it's an odd number, like 49 days. So it's very restrictive. So we try to give more flexibility in this modern world where things are a bit more electronic, and you need to have that sort of bit more flexibility. One of the legal requirements as well has been presenting your annual report at your AGM, which I think is excellent. I think that's what should happen. It's our opportunity to report back to the members, and I wholeheartedly think that that's a great way to go. The board has decided to remove the chairperson having casting vote at an AGM, and that's to keep our process fair and equitable. We've also added in conflict of interest, which is stipulated in the Act, and we've actually put that in the Constitution. We could have just referred to the Act, but again, we're just trying to make sure that our Constitution is robust and a document that you go to if you want clarity on anything. We've also aligned our policy with that so that the two speak to each other. Society funds, this has been an interesting one, and has formed a bit of discussion at some of the roadshows that we've been doing. So at the moment, we're saying that society can only put its funds into banks. So if we have any excess funds, where do we invest them? At the moment, we're saying bank only, really just to be safe. one of our directors pointed out that another organisation they were affiliated with put their funds into something that was quite risky, and we've obviously heard other organisations doing something similar. So we've gone down quite a cautious route. One of the things we have discussed is putting a line in under the banks only of if there was an opportunity for alternate investment, that we would take that to the members. So that is something that we're looking to possibly add to the draft. So if anybody has any comments or questions about that, I'd be interested in those. So pop those in the chat if you do. One of the other changes to the Act is having a defined contact person. So we're putting that contact person as the CEO, but we also are adding the finance manager in just so that we have two, so that it gives an option. So these are usually the big ticket item, which is the board composition. So again, one of the things that we've tried to do is give us flexibility, remaining as definitely a grower and trade member board, but being able to appoint where we need skills. So if we have a skills shortage or our skills matrix shows us that we need something particular on the board, it gives us or the board opportunity to actually bring that skill on. So again, it's just really giving some more flexibility. I highly recommend that if anybody's interested in that area, please read that area of the Constitution and come back to me next week if you have any questions or concerns. One of the things that was picked up during our roadshow was that we had missed putting that we must have a majority of growers. And so we will be adding that back into the draft. So just wanted to let you know that we have picked that up and we will be adding that back in. So that was really the main sort of key changes that I wanted to talk about. As I say, there is a document online if you want to have a quick look at it. And it really tells you what's a legal requirement and what we've done really just to modernise the Constitution. So we have our SGM, our Special General Meeting, coming up on May the 20th. It's at 6 p.m. at the Ashburton Event Centre. So if you want to come in person, we'd really love to see you. And we will be having an online meeting option as well. So for those who can't make it, we also will be trying to have voting online. We're just checking with our lawyer because this is under our old constitution, which is actually silent on voting online. So we're just checking with our lawyer whether we can do that. But if it's all fine, we will be having that available as well. Proxies will be due to me a month prior. That's due to the old constitution, but we will be putting out more detail as we go. So we will be doing reminders, etc. Now in front of you is the motions that we're putting forward. So there's two motions that we're putting forward is that Potato New Zealand adopts an attached new constitution, obviously once we've got that all finalised, with effect from registration with a Registrar of Incorporated Society. So we have to re-register our incorporated. Now, during that re-registration process, what we've heard from others is sometimes they may come back and it will be little legal tweaks that we may have to do. So we're just saying that gives the board opportunity to make those changes, and that will be ratified at the annual general meeting in August. So again, if you have any questions of that, please don't hesitate to let me know. This is a special general meeting, so as such there's extraordinary resolutions, and we will need 66% majority votes to make sure that it passes. As I say, we will be sending out more information and we'll keep that current. So that ends the Constitution sort of update, and I'll move into some of our strategy updates here. So this is the strategy that we landed on when I first started, and we were really looking at that. Where are things going to be 5, 10, 20 years? And I think still, for my mind, I think there's still some future focus piece that we could do in our strategy, and that's some of the work that we're doing at the moment, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. So some of the key strategic achievements that we have, and this is some of the work that's achieved since 2023, is we've got our youth council up and running, which is really exciting. We've got 6 incredible young people who have joined us, and they've gone through and given themselves some jobs to do. And so I'm really excited that we've got that voice of our youth coming through. It was one of the big things that people talked about that we were really missing in prior strategies and prior work. We've also done some bursaries for some students, and they've been really well received. And one of our bursary students presented to the board, and it was amazing the work that they'd done. So I think there's some really great benefits there, really trying to promote our students and getting them on board with work within the potato industry. We've completed our scholarship for the Potato Business School, and Blair Wilcox was the recipient of that, and he's really thrilled. We're working through the details of that. Congratulations, Blair, and I think it'll be, again, a really great initiative going forward. We've done lots and lots of grower focused workshops and webinars, and it's been great to catch up with people as we've gone round. I think there's been some really great work. Our AGM last year was very well attended and very well received. So, we're trying a few different things, but if anybody has any ideas or things that they want us to do differently, please reach out. We're willing to make changes. We just want to connect with our members and make sure that you're getting the information and service that you require. Our ongoing communication through the New Zealand Grower newsletters, etc. So hopefully you're getting some of that, if not all of it. Shree's doing a great job in making sure that we are getting represented. The Young Grower competition, we're a lot more engaged with that, particularly in Pukekohe and Canterbury. And Canterbury is re-establishing the Young Grower competition down here, which is excellent. So again, we're highly involved in that. I'm very excited to have young growers from a large potato growing area really starting that competition again. So it's really great news. We also have double up some information for schools and for teachers, and this has been accepted by HATA, which is the organisation for training of teachers, or training material for teachers. And so again, that's really great. Usually it's the big players, kiwifruit apples, who really had information in that space. So it's excellent that we've got that ability to have the information for our kids so they start learning about potatoes at a young age. We're also connecting with Australia on lots of different levels, whether it be through other organisations, whether it's through seed, whether it's through marketing. And we're just sharing ideas and really just reaching out to how we can work better together. So, a lot of sort of collaboration activity. The other collaboration activity that we're doing is in New Zealand, which is with FAR, Lincoln Agritech, Ag Research, VRNI. So we're really reaching out and trying to extend those networks and making sure we're reducing duplication and getting really sort of good outcomes for our growers. So that's some of the key strategic achievements that we've been doing. I talked a little bit about engagement activity, obviously the AGM I spoke about, and lots of opportunities for those meetings to talk about strategic direction and where to from here. We've obviously got our conference coming up. We've had the board recently visiting growers in Pukekohe and having sort of an opportunity to have a function of a mix and mingle and really hear about what's happening there and how they're feeling and what's happening. We've also had some meetings with seed growers with the board as well, which has been really great to hear directly from growers. We've got, as I said, our conference coming up, so save the date. We've got a theme of innovating for the future. So we're really looking at where to from here for the industry. What do we need to do to go forward for that 5, 10, 15 years? What does that look like? Because I'm really conscious that we're in such a fast-moving world. There's a lot of things that we really need to start thinking about now. So our priorities going forward for 2024 for the balance of this year and 2006. So the next research activities, where are we at now? So some of it's really been the old priorities of powder scab, TPP, Alternaria, etc. But we really want to start looking at where to from here for innovation. How does agritech fit into this and our growing system? What does that look like? And what do we need to do as an industry to build those into our growing systems? What do farmers need? There's GPS mapping, etc. They've all these data systems. How do they talk to each other? What does that look like? So I think there's a large amount of work that we need to do in that space. Obviously, we've got working with our newly formed youth council. We're also looking at building sector capability. So Vice is the Pukekohe demonstration farm. They've done a really great piece of work on sector capability and mapping it out and what does it look like. So really building on that and having a look at those pathways to get our young people into our horticulture industry and into potatoes. A lot of young people I speak to have accidentally fallen into potatoes. So how do we make that not accidental is my question, and how do we build on that? We also continue to be that united voice for the potato industry, so the advocacy piece, and really joining with our other vegetable partners to making sure that we're being heard by industry. We had Minister Greg come to the Canterbury Roadshow the other day, and that was really great to have her talk about what Parliament's doing and how that interacts with the agricultural sector. So, we are getting the ear of government, which is awesome. Export opportunities. So where to from here? What are our market access availabilities, but also what do we need to build on those? So again, there's that piece of work, and we're becoming more actively involved with PMAC on that and with government. And there's opportunities through AHAG, which is Aotearoa Horticulture Action Plan, and PMAC, looking at a project on how we can advance tier 2 organisations or product groups to increase their export opportunities. And as I say, we're collaborating with wider industry and government, really getting out there and having those conversations, making sure that we're well represented. One of the other things that we do have is we do have Fiji coming to visit at some stage to look at our export system, which I think is a really great opportunity for us to re-engage with Fiji and strengthen that relationship. The other piece that we have been looking at is health and safety and machinery operation, and connecting with safer farms and Farm Strong, and looking for stories on, how we can do better in that area. So again, if anybody has any questions or concerns or stories, please reach out. So the other piece I want to talk about is future focus. We've completed some consumer research on what our consumers are thinking, and we were waiting for a top line report, but I actually have that now, and we just had a presentation to the board yesterday. And so what we're now looking at is running these future focus workshops, and they're at the end of May, and we've done an invitation sort of list for key growers and stakeholders to come to the workshops and really look at where to for industry for 10, 15, 20 years' time. Do we produce potato milk? Do we produce starch powder? Do we produce woven material from potato tops to make clothes out of? Do we produce synthetic meat from potato protein? These are all things that are happening now. Can they happen in New Zealand? How can we participate? Or is there something else that we can do that, is really, really different? So these findings will be presented at our conference and will be a key part of the innovation conversation, and how do we move ourselves forward and where to from here for potatoes. Well, I do recommend that you go on and have a look at the Constitution online and come back with any feedback that you possibly have. If you found the webinar sort of valuable, again, if you could feedback, that'd be great. And if this is a better format for me to do updates, then I'm perfectly comfortable doing these on a regular basis and letting you know what we've been doing. It's a great way to reach out. And as we say, if we record these and have them online, then others can catch up as well. So please, any feedback would be awesome. Sheree, if you want to count us out.
Yes, thanks for everyone for attending today, and thanks for taking the time to listen to Kate with this update. It's quite important for our industry, so it's really good for you guys to be aware of what's happening. So, thank you, Kate, and thank you, everyone. Hope you have a great day.